Commander Elias Riker had been on countless missions across the galaxy, but nothing had prepared him for the moment he saw her. The planet's surface stretched beneath the ship like a sea of molten amber, rocks glowing faintly under a strange violet sun. Elias had stepped out onto the landing platform with a mixture of excitement and caution. His crew moved quietly behind him, scanning the horizon with their sensors and rifles. But Elias's attention was not on the instruments. It was on the air, on the sense of something alive, intelligent, waiting. The first glimpse of her was like a flash of light in the corner of his vision. He turned sharply, heart hammering, and there she was. She floated above the ground, radiant, her form shifting like liquid crystal. Her body glowed softly, casting rippling patterns on the rocks around her. Her eyes, if they could be called eyes, were deep pools of swirling color that seemed to look directly into Elias's mind. He felt a shiver run down his spine. "Commander Riker," a voice called softly behind him. It was Lieutenant Mara, one of his most trusted crew members. "Do you see that?" Elias nodded without taking his eyes off the alien. "Yes, don't move too fast. Stay calm." His own voice sounded strange in the cold, thin air, almost as if he were speaking underwater. The alien queen, if that's what she was, didn't speak in words, yet he could feel her presence, a pulse of thought and emotion that seemed to reach for him across the space between them. Curiosity, fear, and an almost desperate longing mixed together in the signal. Then, as quickly as she had appeared, she was gone. One moment she hovered in the violet air, and the next, nothing. Elias blinked, trying to understand. The rocks and dust around him were undisturbed. It was as if she had never been there. "Mara, did you see that?" he asked, voice tight. She shook her head. "I saw a flicker, maybe a reflection from the ship's hull." "Are you sure it's real?" Elias's stomach twisted. "I don't know. But I know what I felt. That wasn't a reflection. That was alive." The crew spread out, scanning with sensors, but they found nothing. No energy readings, no heat signatures, nothing that could explain the sudden appearance. Elias felt a pang of frustration. He was trained to face the unknown, to analyze, to adapt. But this was different. This was contact with something intelligent, something entirely outside human understanding, and it was fleeting. As they moved cautiously across the rocky terrain, Elias kept looking for her. Every time he thought he saw a shimmer, a flicker of movement at the edge of his vision, he froze. But every time he looked directly, she vanished. He could feel her presence teasing him, always there, always just out of reach. By nightfall, the sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky streaked with shades of indigo and violet. The temperature dropped sharply, and the glowing rocks illuminated the platform in a soft, eerie light. Elias stood alone for a moment, staring into the horizon. The alien queen had not appeared again, but he could still feel her. An echo, like a memory of warmth in a cold world. "Commander, you've been staring for hours," Mara said gently, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Maybe it's time to rest. We can scan the area tomorrow." Elias shook his head. "No, I can't sleep, not yet. I need to know what she is, why she's here, and why she's only showing herself to me." Mara looked at him with concern, but she knew better than to argue. Elias had always been relentless when he sensed something extraordinary. It was part of what made him a great commander, and also what made him reckless. Hours passed, and the crew set up temporary shelters and equipment. Elias wandered the rocky surface alone, his eyes scanning the dimly lit terrain. Then, almost imperceptibly, he saw her again. This time she was closer, hovering just above a jagged rock formation. Her form shimmered like liquid silver, and her colors shifted softly, almost as if she were breathing light. Elias stepped forward slowly, careful not to startle her. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said, unsure if she could even hear him. But in that instant he felt her response, not words, but a wave of emotion, gentle and curious, tinged with sadness. His heart pounded. This connection, however brief, was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Before he could reach her, she vanished once more. Elias stood frozen, the emptiness of the air pressing against him. He felt an odd mixture of frustration and awe. He had glimpsed something extraordinary, something completely beyond human experience, and it had chosen to show itself only to him. The wind whispered across the rocks, carrying a faint echo of light and color that seemed to belong to her. Elias clenched his fists, determination surging through him. "I'll find you," he whispered. "I don't care how long it takes." Even in the quiet night, the alien queen's presence lingered, a mystery that called to him in a way he could not ignore. The next morning, the sky of the alien planet was a dull, burning orange, and a faint mist clung to the rocks, making the landscape seem even more strange and otherworldly. Commander Elias Riker woke before the rest of his crew, the memory of the alien queen still vivid in his mind. Her fleeting form, the colors, the way she seemed to reach out directly to him. It haunted him. Every logical part of his mind told him to wait, to scan carefully, to stay cautious. But his instincts, his human intuition, screamed that she was calling him, guiding him. He moved quietly across the rocky terrain, scanning with both instruments and eyes. The instruments showed nothing unusual, no energy, no movement, no life. But Elias ignored that. He had learned long ago that some things could not be measured by machines. Some signals came only to the mind, to the heart. He could feel her presence, faint but unmistakable, like a pulse beneath the planet's surface. "Commander?" Lieutenant Mara's voice broke his concentration. She stepped beside him, her brow furrowed. "You're up early again. The sensors don't show anything new. Maybe you need to rest?" Elias shook his head. "No, she's here. I can feel her. She's trying to reach me." Mara studied him carefully. Elias had always been driven, sometimes to the point of obsession. But there was something different in his eyes now. A focus, a certainty that she had never seen before. "All right," she said finally. "Then let's follow the signs. But carefully. We can't risk wandering too far alone." They moved slowly, Elias following subtle shifts in the air, slight distortions of light, patterns in the mist that seemed almost alive. He was like a hunter tracking prey, but not in the violent sense. He was searching, trying to understand, trying to reach. The mist thickened and the rocks beneath their boots seemed to glow faintly in response to some hidden rhythm. Then Elias stopped. Mara nearly bumped into him. "What is it?" she asked. He pointed to a small cluster of rocks ahead. They were arranged in a strange pattern, not random, almost deliberate. The colors of the rocks shifted slightly as if responding to their presence. Elias crouched, examining them. His heart beat faster. These were not natural formations. Someone or something had made this, and the way they reacted only when he was close. "It had to be her. She's here," he whispered. "I can feel her." Suddenly a shimmer appeared in the mist. Elias froze. The alien queen emerged, her form more solid than before, though still glowing and shifting in ways no human could describe. She floated above the rocks, her colors deepening and flowing like liquid. Her eyes, or whatever parts of her being could be called eyes, focused entirely on him. He felt a wave of emotion wash over him. Curiosity, fear, longing, and something else. Trust. Elias raised his hand slowly, not wanting to scare her. She moved closer, the mist curling around her like smoke and water. And then, as before, she vanished. Not in a flash this time, but as if she had dissolved into the air itself. Elias stumbled forward, trying to follow, but there was nothing. Only the empty, glowing rocks remained. Mara put a hand on his arm. "Commander, it's not safe to chase shadows." "I know," Elias said, his voice tight. "But she's real. She's trying to show herself, but something is stopping her." They continued, and Elias noticed that the patterns in the rocks seemed to repeat. Each time the queen appeared, she left a subtle mark, almost like a trail, but one that only he could sense. He realized it was a puzzle, a code of some kind, and that she had designed it specifically for him to follow. By midday, they reached a large cliffside, jagged and towering. Elias climbed slowly, guided by instinct more than logic. At the top, he saw her again. She hovered just above the edge, her colors brighter than ever, casting reflections on the rocks below. He could sense her excitement, her relief that he had followed her, but also her fear. Something in the environment seemed wrong, a hidden danger. Before he could take another step, a strange ripple passed through the air. The ground trembled slightly, and a cold, creeping sensation ran along his skin. Elias realized the planet itself was alive in a way he hadn't understood. But this was not natural. Something or someone was hiding, observing them. He glanced at Mara, who tensed beside him. The queen vanished again. This time, Elias didn't feel disappointment. He felt urgency. Something was wrong, and he needed to understand why she kept disappearing. His heart pounded, not from fear, but from the determination to reach her, to protect her. and to uncover the truth behind her presence. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in deeper shades of violet, Elias made a promise to himself. He would follow her trail, solve her puzzle, and uncover the mystery. No machine, no alien technology, no theory that could stop him. This was human instinct, human courage, and human curiosity at work, qualities that no other species could match. And he would need all of them if he was going to see her again. The morning mist hung thick over the alien landscape, and Commander Elias Riker felt a strange tension in the air. The patterns in the rocks which had guided him yesterday seemed to pulse faintly, almost as if they were alive. He could sense the Queen's presence nearby, though she did not appear. Something was wrong, and instinct told him it was more than her vanishing form. "Commander," Lieutenant Mara said, her voice low. "Sensors are picking up something unusual. I don't know what it is, but it's moving." Elias crouched beside her, scanning the readings. The instruments showed nothing like a conventional life form. No heat signatures, no biological traces, nothing that matched anything in the human database. Yet his intuition told him there was a presence, hidden and intelligent, something deliberately concealed. "She's here," Elias said quietly, more to himself than to Mara. "And someone or something is trying to stop her from showing herself." They moved cautiously across the glowing rocks. Elias noticed subtle distortions in the air, brief ripples that seemed to bend light unnaturally. He realized these ripples weren't random. They were signs of movement, something stalking the Queen, something that did not want her to be found. Suddenly, a sharp tremor shook the ground beneath their feet. Mara grabbed his arm to steady herself. Elias felt a chill run through him. The energy around the cliffside shifted, as if the air itself was aware of their presence. He closed his eyes briefly, focusing, and felt her pulse again. The Queen. She was near, but scared, hiding. He could feel her fear ripple like waves across his consciousness. "Commander, look." Mara pointed to the rocks. A strange, dark shadow moved just beneath the surface, sliding silently across the glowing terrain. It was not a creature he had ever seen. Its shape was fluid, shifting like smoke, yet it had a solid intent. Elias recognized the danger immediately. This was the reason the Queen had been vanishing, the unseen force preventing her from fully manifesting. Elias drew a deep breath. "This is no ordinary predator," he said. "It's intelligent. It's hunting her." The shadow shifted again, faster this time, and Elias felt a sudden pressure in his chest, a warning, as if the presence were studying him, learning him. He realized something remarkable. The shadow could not detect him fully. His mind, his awareness, and his understanding of emotions were shielding him. Humans had a strange, unpredictable quality that no alien intelligence could read perfectly. That might be the only advantage he had. The Queen appeared again, hovering briefly above the glowing rocks. Her form was faint and flickering, more transparent than before. She reached toward him not with words but with emotion, a silent plea. Elias stepped closer, holding his hand steady. He could feel her fear but also her trust. She was counting on him. Then the shadow struck. It shot out like liquid darkness, slamming into the rocks where the Queen had been. Elias reacted instinctively, throwing a small energy flare to create a burst of light and heat. The shadow recoiled, its form rippling violently, then retreated into the mist. "She's not safe," Elias said. His pulse raced, but his mind was clear. "We need to find her, understand her, and protect her before it comes back." Mara looked at him, worry in her eyes. "Commander, how can we fight something we can't see or touch?" Elias shook his head. "Not with weapons. With understanding. With intuition. With human courage." He crouched and studied the glowing rock patterns once more. Slowly he realized that each shimmer, each flicker of light was more than a clue. It was a warning. The Queen was leaving him messages, not in words but in energy and emotion. She was teaching him how to anticipate the shadow, how to move safely, and how to reach her without being attacked. Hours passed, and they followed the subtle trail deeper into the cliffs. Elias could feel the Queen's presence growing stronger, though still distant, still half-hidden. He realized the shadow was always one step behind, learning from their movements, adapting. It was clever, but humans were clever in ways no machine or alien parasite could predict. His mind raced with possibilities, planning, improvising, predicting, always one step ahead. Finally, they reached a narrow canyon. Elias paused, studying the walls. There were faint scratches, almost like runes etched into the rocks. He traced them with his fingers, and suddenly a rush of energy pulsed through him. The Queen's presence flared. She was near, trying desperately to communicate. "She's here," Elias whispered. "And I think she's telling me where to go next." Mara looked at him. "Commander, do you really think we can protect her?" Elias's gaze hardened. "We have to, not just because she's a life form, but because this is human courage in action. Humans face the unknown, the impossible, and the dangerous. We survive by thinking, feeling, and acting when others cannot. And right now she needs that." The Queen flickered once more, a faint light in the mist. Elias stepped forward, feeling a mixture of fear and awe. The shadow lurked nearby, but he was ready. For the first time, he understood that he was not just following her. He was part of a connection, one that relied on the unique human ability to feel, understand, and endure. And that was something the shadow could never predict. With determination, Elias moved into the canyon, Mara at his side. He could feel the pulse of the Queen growing stronger with each step. Somewhere ahead, in the twisting depths of this alien world, the truth waited, and he was ready to face whatever danger lay between them. The canyon was narrow, twisting and dark, but Elias Riker felt no hesitation. Every step brought him closer to the alien Queen, and he could sense her fear and urgency growing. The shadow that had stalked them earlier lingered somewhere ahead, a presence that slithered along the edges of perception. Elias had no weapon that could harm it directly, but he understood one truth: brute force would not save her. Only human ingenuity, patience, and courage could turn the situation in their favor. Mara moved cautiously beside him, scanning every corner with a handheld sensor. "Commander, I don't like this," she said quietly. "That thing is smart. It's predicting us. Every time we move, it adapts." Elias nodded. "I know, but we have an advantage it doesn't understand. It can't anticipate what we feel or what we care about. Humans are unpredictable in ways that machines and even highly evolved life forms can't predict." A faint shimmer appeared ahead. The Queen was near. Her form flickered like a candle in the wind, glowing soft silver and violet. Elias could feel her trying to reach him, sending pulses of emotion that carried urgency but also trust. He whispered, "I'm coming. Stay with me. I won't let it hurt you." The shadow surged suddenly from the mist, faster than Elias expected. It was fluid and dark, wrapping around the canyon walls, searching, probing. Mara jumped back, startled, but Elias stayed rooted. He raised his hand not to strike, but to focus, to feel. The shadow paused, hesitated. It could sense his presence, but not his thoughts, not his intentions. Elias realized that was his moment. "Move," he shouted. Mara followed, and they dashed forward through the twisting canyon, guided by the faint pulses of the Queen's presence. The shadow tried to follow, shifting like liquid smoke, but every step they took was unpredictable, every motion human in its subtle complexity. The shadow faltered, then recoiled, as if frustrated by their unpredictability. Elias led them to a small ledge overlooking a deep pit. Below, the rocks glowed with faint energy. He crouched and examined the ground carefully. "She's here," he murmured, "and she's scared. But this is where we can stop it, or at least slow it down." Mara frowned. "How? We can't fight it." "Our weapons won't touch it." Elias shook his head slowly. "No, we fight it differently. We use what we have, our minds, our hearts, our understanding of her. The Queen is trying to show us something about herself. She's leaving us clues, patterns in the energy, signs in the rocks. If we follow them, we can predict where the shadow will strike next and protect her." He pointed to subtle marks on the canyon walls, almost invisible scratches and glimmers in the rock. "These are her messages. We have to read them. Every movement she makes, every shift in light is a guide. We move with her rhythm, not against it. That's how humans survive, by thinking, adapting, and trusting in ways no other species can." Mara studied the marks. "You really think this will work?" Elias smiled faintly. "We don't have a choice. And yes, I do. We just need to trust what humans can do. Our courage, our creativity, our ability to feel and act together." They followed the faint pulses, weaving through the canyon with care. The Queen appeared briefly again, hovering just out of reach. Her light shimmered brighter as Elias approached, and he felt her relief mingled with fear. The shadow appeared again, attacking with sudden speed, but Elias anticipated its path. Using a combination of misdirection and timing, he guided the Queen toward a narrow crevice where the shadow could not follow easily. She's safe. For now, Elias said, breathing hard. But we can't stop here. We need to understand why it's hunting her and what it wants. Only then can we truly protect her. Mara nodded, though her worry had not faded. Commander, do you think it's intelligent or just instinct? Elias shook his head. No, this is something different. It's aware. It's calculating. But it doesn't know human determination. It doesn't understand emotion or loyalty or courage, and that is our strength. That is why we are here and why she trusts me to help her. They paused for a moment, catching their breath. The Queen's pulses grew steadier, and Elias could sense her beginning to guide him in turn. She was showing them a path, a way to keep her safe while they discovered the truth about the shadow. Elias understood something profound in that moment. Human strength was not just physical, it was moral, emotional. It was the ability to act when others faltered, to see patterns, to adapt to danger with empathy and ingenuity. As night fell, the canyon walls glowed faintly with the Queen's light. Elias and Mara set up a small camp, hiding carefully in the shadows. The shadow lurked somewhere nearby, but for the first time Elias felt that they had an edge. By following the Queen's subtle messages and trusting their instincts, they were not merely running, they were preparing. Elias looked up at the faint shimmer of light in the mist, the pulse that marked the Queen's presence. Tomorrow, he whispered, we'll find out what's really happening. We'll stop this thing from hurting you. I promise. For the first time, he felt that the alien Queen's disappearance was not a punishment or a trick, but a test. And humans, he realized, were made for challenges like this, unpredictable, courageous, and unstoppable when they had to be. The night on the alien planet was cold and silent, but Commander Elias Riker could feel the Queen's presence more clearly than ever. Her pulses of light were faint but steady, and for the first time they carried a message he could almost understand. It was not just a call for help, it was a warning and an invitation at the same time. Elias felt the weight of it in his chest, a mixture of awe and responsibility. Commander, Mara whispered, pointing ahead. Look. There, hovering just above a cluster of glowing rocks, the Queen appeared again. Her form was brighter than before, and her colors shimmered with a rhythm that seemed to mirror Elias's own heartbeat. She drifted closer, hesitating for a moment as if testing the safety of the space between them. Then, in a way he could feel but not see, she communicated. It was strange, not words but emotions and visions, images that flowed directly into his mind. He saw flashes of her world, her species, and something extraordinary. She was not fully bound to this physical plane. Her people could shift between dimensions, moving in and out of the visible universe. But something had trapped her here, partially visible, vulnerable. Elias felt a chill. That's why you keep disappearing, he murmured. You're not hiding. You're trapped. The Queen pulsed with a soft light, a wave of emotion washing over him. Relief, fear, and trust all mixed together. He understood now that she had chosen him because humans could feel, could understand, and could act with courage where others might fail. She needed a connection that went beyond technology or strength. She needed him. Mara, watching silently, felt the tension but did not understand the depth of what Elias was experiencing. Commander, can we help her? Elias nodded slowly. Yes, but not like we think. We have to connect with her, anticipate the danger, and protect her in a way no machine or weapon can. That's what humans are best at, thinking, feeling, adapting. He studied the glowing patterns on the rocks, realizing they were part of her attempt to communicate more directly. The symbols and pulses were not random. They formed a guide, a safe path through the canyon and the planet itself. It was like a map written in light and emotion, readable only to someone who could understand her. And humans, with their unique intuition, could do that. Suddenly the shadow appeared again, emerging from the mist with a speed and precision that made Mara step back. But Elias was ready. He focused, reading the pattern she had left, predicting the shadow's movements before it even struck. Using light flares, rocks, and careful positioning, he guided the Queen along the path, keeping her out of reach. She's almost fully visible, he whispered to Mara. We're close, but she's still vulnerable. Whatever trapped her, it's learning from us. We have to stay ahead. They moved together, following the faint pulses of her presence deeper into a hidden crevice where the shadows of the canyon gave them cover. The Queen's light grew steadier, and Elias could feel her confidence returning. For the first time, she seemed to trust that he would keep her safe. Then she communicated again, and this time the message was clear. She needed him to do more than guide her. She needed him to anchor her here, to help her manifest fully in this plane. The shadow had been keeping her weak, preventing her from using her true power. Only a human, with the ability to feel her, understand her, and act with intention could help her. Elias's mind raced. He had no idea exactly how to do this, but he understood the principle. Human empathy and courage were the keys. He reached out, extending not just his hand but his will, his determination, his trust. He sent back waves of thought and feeling, assurance that she was not alone, that he would face the danger with her, and that he would not fail. The queen responded with a surge of light, a pulse that shook the rocks and sent mist spiraling into the air. The shadow hissed and recoiled, unable to adapt to the bond forming between them. Elias felt the truth of what he had read in her patterns. She could not manifest fully without trust, and he had to provide it. Mara watched in awe as the queen's form stabilized. Her colors deepened, flowing in rich patterns of violet, silver, and soft gold. She hovered above the canyon, fully visible, her presence no longer flickering. Elias felt the weight of the moment. He had succeeded where no weapon or machine could. The connection he had forged, uniquely human, had allowed her to be free, at least for now. The shadow retreated into the mist, weakened and cautious. Elias knew it would return, but for the first time he felt that they had the advantage. The queen's trust had become their strength, and human courage had made the impossible possible. Elias knelt briefly, exhausted but exhilarated. "We're not done," he whispered. "But we're ready, and now I understand. You're more than a mystery. You're someone who can teach us, and we can protect you." The queen hovered above him, her form glowing steadily, her presence calm but powerful. Elias realized that in this moment, humans were not just explorers or soldiers. They were something more. They were connectors, bridges between worlds, capable of understanding and protecting what others could not. As night fully descended on the canyon, Elias stood, looking at the queen and the stars beyond. He knew the shadow would return and more challenges lay ahead. But he also knew something profound. Humanity's courage, empathy, and determination were enough to face even the most unimaginable dangers. And with that, he felt hope, a hope stronger than fear, stronger than uncertainty. The queen's light bathed the canyon in a soft glow, but Commander Elias Riker knew the danger was far from over. The shadow that had haunted her was still out there, waiting, studying. It was clever, relentless, and capable of learning. But Elias had also learned something crucial. It could not understand human emotion, human intuition, or the bond he now shared with the queen. That bond was their advantage, and he would use it to protect her. "We need a plan," Elias said to Mara as they crouched behind a rock formation. "We can't just wait for it to attack again. It's patient, but so are we." Mara nodded, her handheld sensor scanning the canyon. "We have the queen's guidance. Those pulses, the patterns, they're still showing the way. But how do we use them against this thing?" Elias's mind raced. He studied the glowing rocks, the subtle distortions in the air, the faint ripples left by the queen's energy. "It's not about attacking," he said. "It's about control. Predict its moves, anticipate its strikes, and use her presence to lure it where we want. Humans are unpredictable. It will never fully understand us." They moved forward carefully, the queen hovering just ahead. She pulsed rhythmically, a guide in the mist, her energy growing stronger with every step. Elias felt a surge of determination. Humans had a quality no machine or alien predator could replicate: creativity under pressure. He would use that to their advantage. As they rounded a bend in the canyon, the shadow struck suddenly, slamming against the rocks with a force that shook the ground. Mara stumbled, but Elias held his ground. He raised a small reflective device he had modified from the ship's equipment. The light flared and the shadow recoiled, twisting violently. He realized that it was not just physical force that could harm it. It was energy, focus, and unpredictability. "We have to drive it into the canyon pit," Elias said, pointing to a deep fissure nearby. "Once it's trapped there, the queen's light can stabilize her fully. That's how we free her completely." Mara looked doubtful. "Do you really think we can do that?" "It's fast, intelligent." Elias shook his head. "Not fast enough. Not if we work together. Humans can coordinate in ways no other species can. Watch me. Follow my lead." They moved in unison, Elias guiding the queen through the patterns she had left, timing their movements with her pulses. The shadow followed, relentless, striking unpredictably, but every time it attacked, Elias anticipated it. Using flares, rock shifts, and the energy patterns of the queen, he forced it closer to the for sure, the queen responded, surging her energy in brief pulses that Elias could feel in his mind. It was a signal, a confirmation, a silent cheer. They were close. Elias's heart pounded, but he stayed calm, focusing on the rhythm of her pulses and the patterns in the canyon. Finally, they reached the fissure. Elias and Mara took cover behind rocks as the shadow lunged one last time. Elias triggered a flare that reflected across multiple surfaces, disorienting the shadow. It faltered, hesitated, and then in a final surge of energy it plunged into the pit. The canyon was silent for a long moment. Elias exhaled, relief washing over him. The shadow was trapped, at least for now. The queen hovered above the fissure, glowing brighter than ever. She pulsed, sending a wave of emotion directly to Elias. It was gratitude, trust, and relief all at once. He stepped forward cautiously. "It's over," he whispered. "You're safe now." The queen's form stabilized completely, no longer flickering. Her colors flowed smoothly, a river of silver, violet, and gold. She looked at Elias, and he felt something extraordinary. Recognition, a deep understanding that transcended words. Humans had protected her, not through strength or firepower, but through empathy, courage, and intelligence. That was a force even the most advanced predator could not match. Mara watched silently, awe in her eyes. "I don't think I've ever seen anything like this," she said. Elias smiled faintly. "Humans are capable of more than we realize. We survive because we adapt, we feel, and we act when others cannot. That's why she trusted me and why we succeeded." The queen hovered close to Elias, her light warm and steady. He could feel her energy, her essence as if it were a living presence pressing gently against his mind. She did not speak, but he understood her completely. She was free, fully visible, and no longer threatened by the shadow. Elias realized something profound in that moment. Humanity's strength was not just in technology, not in weapons or machines. It was in the mind, the heart, and the spirit. Human courage, empathy, and creativity had made the impossible possible. The queen had trusted him because she knew humans were different, capable of something no other species could achieve. As night fell completely over the canyon, Elias looked at the stars above, thinking of the journey ahead. The shadow might return, but they had gained something far more important: trust, understanding, and a bond that could withstand even the most unimaginable dangers. He knew that whatever came next, humans had a unique power in the universe. And with that thought, he felt a quiet confidence. They had faced the unknown, outwitted a predator that no other species could defeat, and protected a life form far beyond human understanding. For Elias, it was more than victory. It was a revelation. Humans were extraordinary, not because of what they could destroy, but because of what they could protect. The queen hovered closer, her energy now calm and steady. Elias extended a hand, and for the first time she touched it, not physically, but in a connection that resonated through his mind and heart. It was a bond of trust, respect, and mutual understanding. And in that moment, Elias knew they were ready for whatever challenges the universe might bring next. The stars hung above the canyon like scattered jewels, and the soft glow from the alien queen illuminated the rocky walls with a gentle, shifting light. Commander Elias Riker stood beside Mara, taking in the view and the quiet that followed the chaos of the past days. The shadow had been driven away, at least for now, and the queen hovered above them, fully visible and radiant. There was a stillness in the air, almost reverent, as if the canyon itself recognized the bond that had formed between human and alien. Elias stepped forward, his eyes fixed on her. Her form shimmered softly, colors flowing like a living river, and for the first time he could see her true essence, complex, beautiful, and powerful. She radiated intelligence and emotion, a presence that felt as alive as any human, yet utterly unlike anything he had encountered. Her gaze, or what he perceived as her gaze, met his, and he felt a profound connection, a silent understanding that transcended words or even thought. The queen pulsed lightly, a wave of emotion that carried relief, gratitude, and trust. Elias felt it as clearly as if it were his own heartbeat. He realized that their journey together had not just been about survival. It had been about understanding, about bridging the gap between species and discovering something uniquely human. Courage, empathy, and intuition had allowed him to reach her in a way no other being could. Mara approached cautiously, still in awe. "Commander, she's incredible," she said softly. "I don't know how to describe it." Elias smiled faintly, keeping his eyes on the Queen. "Neither do I, but that's not important. What matters is that she trusts us now. That trust, our ability to connect, to understand, is stronger than any weapon or technology. Humans have a strength no one else has." The Queen hovered closer, and Elias felt her energy intertwine with his own. It was not a physical touch, but a mental and emotional resonance, something he could feel deep inside. She was showing him her world, her history, and her species' ability to shift between dimensions. Yet she remained tethered to this plane by his trust, by human courage, and by the bond they had formed through their shared struggle. Elias knelt slowly, a gesture of respect and acknowledgement. "You're safe now," he said, "and we will protect you as long as we're able, not because it's easy, but because it's right. That's what humans do. We protect what matters even when the risk is great." The Queen responded with a pulse of light, stronger this time, as if acknowledging and accepting his promise. Elias could sense her relief and newfound strength. She no longer flickered or vanished. She was complete, fully present and free. Mara watched silently, realizing what Elias meant when he spoke of human uniqueness. They had faced a danger that no weapon could overcome, a creature that no technology could fully predict, and they had succeeded through courage, creativity, and empathy. Humans had the ability to act in ways the universe could not anticipate, to protect what mattered even when the odds seemed impossible. Elias turned to Mara. "The shadow may return someday," he said, "but it won't defeat her, not while humans are here, and not while we understand what truly matters." He looked back at the Queen, who hovered close, her light steady and calm. For a moment he allowed himself to simply be present with her, to feel the extraordinary bond they had formed. She had trusted him and he had protected her. It was more than victory, it was a revelation. Humans were extraordinary not because of their power or weapons, but because of what they could do with their minds and hearts. The Queen pulsed again, softer this time, a quiet acknowledgement of the connection. Elias could feel her trust deepening, a bond that would last beyond this canyon, beyond this planet. She was free now, yet tethered in a way that allowed both species to understand one another. The thought filled him with awe. He realized that humanity's greatest gift was not conquest or technology. It was the ability to reach out, to empathize, to connect, and to protect. The night stretched on, filled with the quiet hum of the Queen's energy and the distant stars above. Elias and Mara sat beside the glowing rocks, observing her as she pulsed gently in the darkness. There was a sense of calm and possibility. For the first time, the unknown felt less threatening, less alien, because humans had proven they could navigate it, not with strength alone, but with courage, understanding, and heart. Elias felt a deep sense of satisfaction, a quiet pride. They had faced the unimaginable, outwitted a predator that no other species could confront, and forged a bond that would change both human and alien perspectives forever. He understood now that humanity's place in the universe was not defined by weapons or dominance, but by their ability to act when others could not, to protect what mattered, and to connect across impossible boundaries. The Queen hovered closer one final time, and Elias extended a hand. She responded not physically, but with an energy pulse that resonated through his mind and heart. It was a silent promise, mutual trust, respect, and the beginning of something far greater than either could achieve alone. Elias smiled faintly. "We did it," he whispered, "and this is only the beginning." Above them, the stars sparkled brighter, reflected in the glowing energy of the Queen. The universe felt vast and full of mystery, but Elias knew something crucial. Humans were ready. They had courage, ingenuity, and a heart capable of bridging worlds, and with that he looked forward, not with fear, but with hope, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The alien Queen floated silently beside him, fully visible, free, and radiant. And for Elias, it was a moment he would never forget. The moment he realized that humanity, in all its unpredictable, courageous, and empathetic glory, could face the universe and succeed where others could not.